Okay, with that, I'd like to turn it over to our next panel discussion on a critical topic of sustainability. And to lead us through that is Ryan Hartz from the AZEK Company. And he's going to, this panel is going to talk to us about recycling and using some of those materials that we're all looking for ways to use productively. So Ryan, to take it away, please.
Very good. Thank you, Harry. Appreciate it. On behalf of AZEK, we do want to say thank you for having us today. And you know, the topic for recycling is one that continues to gain steam, and we have a unique opportunity here at the AZEK Company to continue to further invest and utilize those recycled streams in our beautiful products. So what we want to talk about today between Kevin, Dave, and myself is really how we're doing that. We'll talk to you a little bit about who the AZEK Company is, as some of you may not be familiar. And then we'll spend a little bit of time of talking about how we're using some of these scrap plastics, diverting it from landfills and getting it into our products, and how we're marketing, but also consuming those plastic waste streams into our products and turning it into a product that is just is absolutely beautiful, and something that I'm sure as a result of this pandemic, most of us have been spending more time outdoors and looking at our various homes and saying, what can we do? Because this is where we're spending more time nowadays, and you'll get a chance to see some of our products here as well. Just some quick intros. I head up the sourcing group at AZEK. Been with the company for the last couple of years. Kevin Fehring has also been with the company for a couple of years as well. He is our recycling sourcing manager. He's going to spend a little bit of time getting into some of the details with regards to what we're using and how we're using it into our products. And then finally, Dave Foell, who is the president of Return Polymers, the newest member of the AZEK Company. They started out as a partner supplier to us, and at the beginning of the year, we acquired Return Polymers because we quickly realized that in order for us to aggressively get at our ultimate goal of consuming more and more recycled plastics, that we needed really Dave and his team to help us get to that next level, and is now part of the AZEK family as well. So first off, who is AZEK? Some of you may recognize the name. If not, we're mostly known as a composite decking and trim company. We were founded in '83. We're headquartered in Chicago. We moved into the West Loop area about a year and a half ago. This beautiful wide open office in a great up and coming area, and I haven't seen it for 6 months. It's really exciting to be there, but part of that, we were also able to open up an innovation and customer center where we can get contractors and folks into our building and see how we use the products and how best to customize folks' exterior products. We have manufacturing locations only here in the U.S. We have several in Ohio, Pennsylvania, as well as in Minnesota. We are a leading manufacturer of beautiful low maintenance products, and our mission is to accelerate the use of plastic and recycled materials. It is also one of our core values is always doing the right thing, and we truly believe that accelerating the use of recycled materials falls into that core value. And what's great about AZEK is it's just not talk. We live it, we breathe it, and every day we're talking about how do we consume more? How do we divert more plastic and these waste streams out of the landfills and get it into our products? Or how do we partner with other folks to help them go do that? We have many partnerships out there where we've developed closed loop recycling systems. It is at the forefront of everybody's mind, and we're fortunate to be able to take somebody's waste and turn them and show them the deck board that it's going into. It's an amazing not only story, but it's also it's diverting all of this waste and doing the right thing for the environment. We have invested heavily in R&D and the material science of how do we use this trash and turn it into these products. And as I mentioned, really having Dave and his team part of that organization now has just tremendously accelerated the use of that. And what's really cool is that Dave's business has focused on PVC. If any of you have read any articles over the last several years, PVC seems to get a really, really bad name as that waste stream that we should shy away from. However, we love it. We want it. We want more of it. Dave has figured out all kinds of great ways, along with our R&D team, to use more and more of it. So we're taking those old structures that have PVC, getting it into his process, and churning it up and being able to put it in a place where we can consume it into our extrusion process. I guess what's another point here about AZEK is what's really cool is that we became a publicly traded company in June of this year, right in the middle of this pandemic. Our organization and our sponsors said, hey, now is the time. Now is the time to become public. We see an opportunity to continue to invest heavily in the business, expand capacity, be able to provide more product to our customers as they're wanting it, and continue to really go after this recycling footprint and opportunity that we have in front of us. So we're actually, we're listed on the New York Stock Exchange, and we were the first company to ring the bell remotely. So it was really cool for all of the employees at home to celebrate that major milestone in our organization, to be there in a remote standpoint, being able to ring the opening bell. A few other things to note is that as part of really trying to drive and help shape and do more around recycling, we are members. We have several memberships in various groups that really try to push the envelope around recycling plastic. We're part of the Vinyl Sustainability Council. We're part of the Association of Plastic Recycles, and we're also part of the U.S. Green Building Council, all of which trying to be part of really shaping the future and helping do more in this space. A few we do have a broad product portfolio. We have really grown over the last several years, not only through acquisition, as I noted about Dave, as well as some other business units that have been put on over the last couple of years, but also through new product introduction, and really expanding that portfolio and listening to our customers and trying to get more of that and letting them know that we're here to do what's right for the environment. So our major product line is really in our decking. We have a wide variety of colors, widths, really giving you the opportunity to personalize that backdoor living space. As well as one thing to note is we are the #1 brand in premium decking out there. We also have a large exteriors kind of trim business as well. We also recently came out with not only just needing to use white trim from a closet standpoint, but also it's paintable as well. So we're really, again, looking at our consumers. How do we use the products that we have and give them more for that? We also use our products in a variety of other industries. Bathroom partitions, not something that I'd really ever thought about before joining the organization, but there's a lot of really innovation that's going on in there. And one of the things that we came out here fairly recently is a product line that goes from floor to ceiling, complete, gives you extreme privacy, and as well as using our composite products that also use those recycled materials. One of our divisions called Vicom. They support the marine industry. They support the printing industry, like think of trade shows and those kinds of posters and those kinds of things. But we also, what's really neat is when this pandemic broke and a lot of these temporary hospitals were being built, many of our products were used in those temporary hospitals to help with barriers, privacies, even beds, those kind of things. And then finally, we have a large selection of railing, composite, and aluminum. And then, kind of accessories that go along with that, lighting, some deck fastening systems as well. It's a little bit more about AZEK. I'm not going to try to bore you too much with some of these things, but, we started out in '83 in plastic sheets. We got into PVC decking in 2007. And really over the last few years, we have completely and really, truly focused on growth through acquisitions, a number of acquisitions, as well as investing heavily internally, not only via acquisition of the Return Polymers, but we also built our own polyethylene recycling facility that allows us to take in stretch film, take in film, bags, a variety of different plastics, and process it ourselves. And that's all around that R&D piece of it, of being able to control and do what it is. So with that being said, I want to turn it over to Kevin. He's going to get into a little bit more of the intricate details as far as what some of those materials we're using and how we're doing it. Kevin?
Hey, thanks, Ryan. It's good to be here, guys. So, in December of 2018, AZEK opened what we would consider a polyethylene recycling plant to put into the core of our decking boards. So, um, what is polyethylene? So let's talk about, on the polyethylene side of things, let's talk about detergent bottles from your laundry, shampoo bottles. Um, that's part of what goes into the core of the deck board. And then, like Brian alluded to before, LDPE film. So we look for some of the harder to move films, like stretch film that's contaminated with a little bit of PET strapping, maybe. Bags, say garbage bags, that kind of tough material. And then for manufacturing facilities, it's really going to come down to like maybe some Gaylord liners. So, or bags where parts are coming into an automotive facility, bearings, hubs, that kind of stuff, sprockets. Those are emptied out. Those bags are left over, and that's kind of what we take into the green plant. So with that plant opening in December of 2018, really since 2019, then, if you look at January of 2019, we've diverted about 290 million pounds of waste from the landfill through these different recycling programs. So that includes our polyethylene plant and what Dave will talk about with return polymers on the PVC side. So not only are we diverting that waste from the landfill, we've also used about 98% of our own internal scrap goes back into our own products. So we've recognized that we've got a process to be able to grind that up, put it right back into our products. So, we're still looking to capture the balance of that going out the door. Obviously there's some challenges with that. And I'm sure our work with R&D will continue to be able to do that. So, we talk about the benefits of the plastic side, but let's look at the environmental side of things, right? So the majority of the products that we use, are recyclable, but they've met the end of the useful life. So we can do post-consumer. We're looking at post-industrial material. And the beautiful thing about that is we've saved about 1 million trees for being cut down since 2015. So it's a beautiful for the waste diversion side. Obviously, more recycling you do, you're reducing the carbon footprint. We're trying to pull a lot of material from the Midwest. Our green plant is in Wilmington, Ohio. So from a carbon footprint standpoint, we're trying to reduce the amount of trucking that we do, right? So that's, and that folds back into, hey, we reuse our own scrap. So our own scrap doesn't leave the facility and then come back to us. We actually process it in-house. So that also helps with the carbon footprint. And clearly not taking trees down is a great environmental thing to do as well. So we also have a closed loop water filtration system, so that we typically can recycle about 96% of the water on average that we use. So let's talk about the core of the deck board that we do on the polyethylene side in Wilmington, Ohio, right? So we basically take trash and turn it into a beautiful product like Ryan alluded to earlier. The composite deck board that we make is typically made up of about 80% recycled material, and that is the balance between recycled wood flour and some of the recycled plastic that we have. And like I said, back in 2018, we opened up this state-of-the-art facility. And with my experience in the industry, our goal for working with either end users, suppliers, is to kind of consult with them on how we can help them be a domestic home for processing their scrap material and be a long-term source to be able to do that for them, right? So it's, you come in, you talk to them about, hey, you can do A, B, C, and D. We can help you with all of these things, this, and this. Hey, I don't consume certain materials directly, but I can redirect those in a direction that they're still going to get recycled. So if you're looking for some sort of ISO certification, you can continue to have that. Oh, and by the way, you're going to work with an end user that has a huge appetite for this type of material. So it's a win-win kind of scenario for everybody involved. We also look to really go after the stuff that's harder to recycle. There's a lot of commodities on the market that a lot of people can consume. So we're really going after the stuff that might be, questionable on quality, questionable on contamination. But with the system that we have installed in Wilmington, we really have the ability to take a look at those streams. So say there's some HD that's got a little bit of foil in it. Most people can't just take that and put it back into a product. those are the types of materials that we're looking to go after, because there's a cost benefit there. Typically, a lot of those have gone into the landfill or they've gone export. Export's not a reliable option anymore with current market conditions, right? And it probably never will be. So if we can take those, we can increase the recycling rates in the United States because we're not poaching material that already has a home, right? So we want to go after material that might not have a home or has a very sporadic home and give it a consistent end use. So on the polyethylene side, that's really about kind of where we are. I think that's about it. I'm going to turn it over to Dave, and he can kind of talk about PVC and return polymers.
Good morning. Good afternoon. I guess it's good morning still. I think of time zones for a second. So return polymers. Return polymers, as Ryan already indicated, was acquired by AZEK in January of this year. I wish I had a crystal ball. I couldn't have timed it any better given what happened in the market. But Return Polymers has been in business for 27 years. It was a privately held company, family-run business. Basically went from, a potato warehouse in Shreve, Ohio, is its first ever sale brokering materials. From there, it has now gone to a full-service enterprise. Covers everything from contamination elimination, grinding, shredding, optical sortation, metal detection. It also is a full-service company. It supplies everything from doing a UL certification for a client, sure destruction guarantees for large OEMs that want to make sure their labels and documents and or products never get back on the market again. We also do supply chain value integration such that we ensure a competitive product doesn't go to your competitor, which is a critical thing. Some people would rather throw something in landfill than risk it going on the open market or risk it going to a competitor for them to use. And we've got the abilities in source stream identification to allow us to make sure those things don't occur. We're also very fortunate in that last year we actually won the Vinyl Sustainability Council Recycler of the Year. It was for an application where we created a UL certified 100% recycled product, all of it being from post-industrial and post-consumer products, going into a name brand OEM appliance application that you probably see when you go into Walmart, or wherever refrigeration system you go into today to get your food. It's actually in those large fridges that you see in the stores is where it's currently being used. We did that in a 6-month program. If you look at most recycling entities out there today, they're what I'll call our single stream recyclers. They are taking a product apart, a scrap. They are then taking it, size reducing it, cleaning it, or doing a process to it, and then sending it back to the market. That's not what we're doing. We're taking a single polymer with multiple uses. So we will take everything from a piece of siding to a large pipe, from a PVC bottle to a Whirlpool dishwasher to cooling tower scrap that's coming out of the city of Chicago's water treatment facilities to, films coming out of agricultural. So the way we have been successful at doing it is basically defining the characteristics that are left in that material after its useful life. Most PVCs are used because they're meeting 3 properties: fire prevention, chemical resistance, or weathability, tending to be very long use applications. So that by the time we get them, they've probably been in service for at least 10 to 15 years before we'll even see those things. Because of that, we have to define what's left of them. We then take those materials, much like the main compounding facilities do in Wilmington and Scranton, define what's possible to use those things for, and create a mechanical blend of PVCs that then in turn gets shipped to our critical customers or internally, which are also critical customers, but to make it back into decking or trim applications. And so that's a differentiator for us, is the ability to take the best of the best and the worst of the worst that you can see out there and finding ways to put it into something that's valuable. If you look at why we fit in AZEK, it was kind of intriguing when we went through this process. Our customers and our internal customers with my employees have always made a recycled blend that looks like salt and pepper. If you saw what it looks like, it's a pulverized product, 20 mesh in size, and it ends up being run in extrusion or injection molding applications. But it's really nothing you can have you go at the kitchen table and tell your son or your daughter what you're really making for a living. By coming into AZEK and being part of their future, it basically allowed our team to say, I'm making decking, I'm making trim, I'm making, partitions in bathrooms. I'm doing those kinds of things so they can be proud of what they're doing. They were always proud of what they're doing. because we basically have diverted something in the neighborhood of 750 million pounds since our inception from going into landfill, which is a big number for a small company like we are. But it was really critical because when you look at the overall senior management of AZEK and their drive for sustainability, it's not greenwashing. It's not, oh, we're going to be an environmentally great green footprint, carbon footprint, or we're going to have a great number. We're going to use our own internal stuff. It's we're going to use real numbers. We're going to put money behind the real numbers. And for our guys, that was critical. For them to be able to say that we're tagging up with something that had similar core values to what we had, that was driven towards recyclability and sustainability, it was a perfect match. We also had something that they didn't have. We understood the language of recycling, and there is a different shtick, for lack of a better term, that goes with recycling, because it's not the pretty products, it's how to define what people are normally putting into landfill and finding ways to put it into something that's useful. So as Kevin, who's got a lot of experience on the polyethylene side, said, people who are concerned about having the prettiest recycle come in that can't have any, a little bit of aluminum, a little bit of foil, a little bit of paper, a little bit of wood. We're on the other side of it. We're getting those things every single day. So the challenge that we have with most of these streams, and for most of you guys from a supply source, is going to be, well, how do you make those puzzle pieces all fit? Behind me in my picture is a puzzle. It's 7,000 pieces, okay? It took about 5 years to create. Well, we have, as a Return Polymers, it took us 27 years to create a puzzle. Supply sourcing stream guys are a critical component of this puzzle. If they don't define that there is a end of design, end of life for their applications, the puzzle will never be finished. The ability to take those difficult materials that are out there in PVC and polyethylene and make them into something as useful, like decking, well, again, a long life product, not something that's short life, 3 to 5 years, but something that's 20 to 30 to 50 years long, is going to be a critical component to the US economy and how they review and look at recycling. So the challenge for you guys is find us. You know, we're one of the critical guys out there in the market that can take pretty much both sides, the olefin and the PVC side of the market. If you've got an application or a supply stream that you don't have a clue where to put it and you're currently putting in landfill, call us. It takes 5 minutes for us to basically define, with our experience, to say, what can or can't you do with it? If it's truly a landfill item, we'll tell you. We're not going to waste your time. We're not going to waste our time. But if it's something that you think's landfill, we may be able to find a way to put that into something that's got a legacy that's not going to go into landfill and create an ongoing issue. So at that point, I'm going to hand it back to Ryan for closing comments and back to the panel. Thank you.
Okay, Kevin, Dave, thank you. I guess you're sitting there saying, all right, great. How do we go do this, right? How do we, we're an organization that's diverted 290 million pounds of scrap and waste and put it into the #1 premium decking product out there. How do you go do this? So here's the big takeaways, right? Organizationally, we are all in as it comes to recycling, but just starting can sometimes be the most difficult thing. Kevin, Dave, they truly are experts as it comes to the recycling, how to do it. I can't tell you the number of times where Kevin has just gone out and spoken and met at different companies, Dave has as well, of just how to go recycle corrugated, how to quit putting it in the trash bin, how to go take that stretch film in your warehouse and not leave it going to the landfill, but how it can be diverted and go directly into our Wilmington, Ohio recycling facility. Just know that we are here to help you. We would love to find all kinds of partnership opportunities, especially here locally in the Chicagoland area, develop these kind of programs with. But know that we're here to help, and really that's the big takeaway is the talk of how do we go do recycling more, especially in plastics, is there, but the starting point can be really difficult. And we're really fortunate to have team members that are fully focused on this. And we're here to help in any stretch of the way. And quite honestly, what we're looking for is to develop even more further closed loop recycling systems. Because even though we diverted 290 million pounds last year, we're going to be doing more and more and more of that over the years to come. So we're going to need more scrap to be introduced into our products. So we've got 5 minutes left here. Harry, I know we talked about trying to open up if there's any Q&A out there. There's various functions and formats to go do that. I'm going to turn it back to you. If we want to open up the Q&A, we're here to help. Do not hesitate to reach out to any of us, even as we wrap up this summit, because we're definitely here to help and would love to find ways to divert more out of the landfill.
Okay, thanks, Ryan and team. We do have a question that just came in. My company currently has a different recycling partner, but we are looking for ways to make better use of our plastics. Does AZEK care if plastics are properly sorted, or are you able to use unsorted plastics?
Yeah, Kevin, you want to take that?
Yeah, I'd be more than happy to, Ryan. So it's kind of the generic answer for me is it depends on what kind of plastics you have, right? So, there's certain streams that can be mixed, there's certain streams that can't be mixed, and depending on the mixture of what they actually are they parts, are they regrind? Olefin type materials like polypropylene and polyethylene can be mixed at times. But if you're trying to, put ABS, which are computer housings or something like that, into your, into your PVC or into your polyethylene, it's probably not going to work, right? So really, if you want to, I think my email is probably provided. Probably shoot me an email of what you have, because it's not only polymer driven, it's going to be melt flow driven as well. So there's a couple of little components that we have to look at depending on what the polymer is, and then we can probably advise you on what to do with those.
Okay, thanks. And you should be able to find them on the mobile app, and if not, send me a note to Harry Haney, and I will make the connection. Maybe just 2 minutes left here, fellows. Maybe a question would be, if a company is looking to do more recycling, whether it's plastics or whatever, corrugated, what have you. I mean, what are some good steps that you found to help a company get started in this effort?
Let me grab this one. I think the first thing is, don't be scared to ask questions, because just because you think this is too bad and nobody can use it and you're throwing it in your landfill and your dumpster, you'd be surprised how many times that myself or Kevin go into an operation, even if it's with a FaceTime video phone today, looking at what people are throwing away and how they're throwing it away, that experienced eyes will looking at something will say, you don't need to do that. You don't need to separate that. You do need to separate that. Or yes, you're right. Your analysis is correct. There is no end of life except for landfill or waste energy for that product. I would say just rely on the recycling professionals, because most recyclers out there like us, at least of our size, have the ability to manage all the aspects, right from drop trailers, collection devices, logistics. We've got those systems set up. A lot of the large companies flounder doing this internally. It is not an easy skill to learn how to manage the scrap streams. And so I would just say, reach out to something that's, a brick and mortar kind of recycler. I would probably suggest staying away from brokers. Kevin and I are basically the same mantra that way. They, not that they get in the road and they have a value out there, they collect the dots a lot. But if you want to get the most value and have the most impact, or people that can give you a lot of options for your material, I'd go to a brick and mortar recycler is what I'd probably suggest.
Well, I just wanted to say thank you to Ryan and Kevin and Dave. I think that it's wonderful to hear that you have such a strong commitment to, really moving the dial on environmental sustainability and the use of recycled materials. So thanks so much for your presentation.